All right, it's time to make your clay monster. Please get your supplies, get your sketch to make sure it'll help you with creating your details. If you are making a monster that does not have legs, then the size is going to be about a tennis ball size. So you can see that I'm slapping the ball together. I'm compressing the clay, so I'm turning it, slapping it, compressing it so that it's a solid piece of clay. We are going to be making what's called a pinch pot. So to make this, you're going to take your thumb and you're going to stick your thumb in the center and you're going to start rotating the shape around. So you have become a mini wheel. As you're turning it, you are compressing the sides of the wall and you're making them a 1/4 inch thick. That 1/4 inch is the same thickness we had with our mugs when we used the slab roller. But now you are that slab roller as well. Don't worry about doing too much cleanup until you get to the part where you're adding more details. You can see that my form is starting to get more hollow. I'm working the surface. I'm trying to make it taller because my monster has more height. He's tall and he has kind of an oval flat head. I'm using the paddle to also help with the form. If I had a square shaped monster or a cube monster, then I could use the side of the table and I could also hit on the side of the table, and that would help give me that edge. Any tool can be used, so whatever works for you, use it and get your form just the way you want it. So again, I'm working on trying to get just that shape. I am cutting the top and leveling it off because my monster does have a flat head and it will require a slab. So I am trying to get the form to be very similar to my sketch. You can see that I'm working inside and I'm working on the outside. Several of the tools I'm using the clay brush, I'm using the silver squeegee, I'm roughening the surface. I'm also cutting darts in the top to pull the clay and make it smaller. You can see right there that I've put my clay in the cup with some plastic. The plastic is so that it easily releases out, plus it kind of helps to support it as I am working on my sculpture. One of the things I had to figure out is the bottom of my monster is round. And so I had to figure out or come up with a solution of how I could do that without flattening the bottom. So what I did was I took a water cup and I cut out the top of the water cup so there was a hole that would allow my sculpture to sit and still go through and not be flattened. So there are a lot of times when you're problem solving, trying to figure out how do I make this work. When you're putting on extremities, you're going to be making holes and it's kind of like slots that you're putting things into. So there's a lot of problem solving that's happening as you are making this mini monster. You can see there I used the table to level out the top. There's a lot of different ways to do things. So like I said, all the tools are available to you to use. If you need to cut something, then just cut something. If you need plastic that's bigger, then cut your plastic bigger. Right there, I used the pony roller to also help level it out. So again, what I'm doing is I'm sculpting, and sculpture's fun, but you've got to work with your form. It's not going to do it without you working with the clay and figuring out what's going to work. Right there, I pushed through the bottom a little bit, so I'm adding on clay. Remember, every time that you add on clay, it has to be worked into the surface. A lot of you, when you added on your handles, you did not get the handles worked into the surface enough. You'll notice that I am making Harvey. I named him Harvey, and he's got tentacles. And so those tentacles are just like handles, and they're going to have to be worked into the surface. So on the next video, I will show you how I put those tentacles on. So right now, I'm smoothing out the slab. I'm going to take the cup and I'm going to trace around it with a ballpoint pen, and then I'm going to put plastic again underneath the form because I'm trying not to get the impressions of the cup on my shape. When you're cutting something out in clay, don't try to cut all the way around it. Cut small pieces so that you get that shape that you wanted and you don't have to do any cleanup. You have what you need. So I'm scoring and slipping, which is very important. The mister, you will want a mister by you so that you can add the water as you go. Now I'm paddling it onto the seam, and I'm also using the spin to kind of work the seam in. So you can see I've got a pretty good shape going. And there you can see I've started to add some details.